And now I'm ready to bring up Peter Smyth.
Hey, Iris. Smyth. Okay.
Okay. I got it right the first time when I met you on our last webinar, and then it's been a busy week.
You can call me whatever you want, Iris.
I'll just call you Peter. How about that? We'll keep it simple.
Perfect.
Peter, thank you so much for being here today. Can you please tell us all a little bit about your experience in the self-storage industry and what White Label does?
Yes, my name is Peter Smyth. I'm the co-founder and CEO of White Label Storage. Got into the industry through a business called Local Locker, which is a New York City-based retail self-storage company. And then we found our way into third-party management. We're a national, actually, I guess international now. We've got Canadian stores, third-party manager. We started out focused on remote sites around the country, but now we do everything from 50-unit side of the road drive-ups to 1,200-unit fully staffed stores. And our focus is on doing everything from first principles, using technology to do both a better job, but to create some efficiencies on the expense front.
Fantastic. Well, Peter, I'm going to bring up your slide deck and I'm going to go backstage and monitor the questions. I'll be back to see you in a few minutes.
Perfect. I've got 20 minutes here, I believe. Thanks for having me in today. So want to talk about tech-enabled third-party management and how we can use innovation to scale. For us, this is a story. This is really our founding story. We started out with a business called Local Locker, where we were taking unused basement space and garage space in New York City and building small, unstaffed self-storage facilities. We were forced to use technology. It's not even that we were innovative, but we were forced to innovate because there was not a technology stack that would allow us to run an unstaffed store. We had to build it ourselves. And being forced to do that really just framed how we approach everything. We like to say first principles. We're always looking at how things are done from a legacy perspective and looking at where can we create efficiencies and where can we optimize through innovation. We had to do that with Local Locker. And so now we got into the white label business by looking at the smallest facilities around the country, those that have really lopsided expense ratios. And so I want to start this presentation really with a question that everybody should ask themselves when they're thinking about using innovation or changing their operating model with technology. The question is, what is your strategy? Do you have a growth strategy? Do you own large stores or small stores? And are you going to manage the store yourself, or are you going to rely on third-party management? The third sort of section there of management philosophy, I'm going to assume that the audience here today is a self-manager, because many of those decisions that we're going to talk about today really are outside of your hands when you're using a third-party manager. So I want to focus on really what's your growth strategy and which asset types are you managing. This is important because if you are operating a portfolio with national scale or with some sort of regional penetration, you're sort of allowed some staffing efficiencies that you would not have if you had a single store. And what I mean by that is there's enough revenue at a 700-unit facility in a primary market to pay a W-2 worker to sit on site and do everything that it takes to run the store, from sweeping units to overlocking to doing the pricing. But when you start to look at stores that do not immediately put you in some sort of scale capacity, that's when you want to look. I mean, and there are reasons that you'd want to look at technology at scale anyway, but where you are really forced to do it, and where I think a lot of this audience will sit, is when you have limited revenue, limited scale, you should be looking at opportunities to automate and streamline individual workflows at the asset level through technology. So that's large stores and large portfolios where that might change your approach. You might actually be able to build a department around delinquency, and then you don't actually want to look at innovating or bringing in an automation tool, because it's more efficient to amortize one salary across 10 stores than it is to roll out $150 per store across or 52 cents per unit of AI lien across thousands and thousands of units. So that's how we're going to look at this presentation. I want to do that by individual workflows at the asset level. So if we're using this as a framework, there's really two major opportunities to improve store operations. One's on the revenue side, and then there's on the expense side. Really, your job as a store owner or third-party manager is to increase NOI, and the ways you can do that are simple. At the end of the day, a P&L is simple arithmetic. It's how much you taken in and how much is going out. So I want to start at the top of the P&L, and that's revenue. What are the key revenue drivers? Those are pricing, insurance, and additional products. I mean, there are other when you could sell merch. There are ancillary, there are mixed use assets, but I want to focus on what I consider the core drivers today, which is these three. And I'm going to go a level deeper and talk about some of the choices that we can make, and some of the vendors that are out there for us when we are thinking about innovating. So let's start with pricing. If you're going to price the units yourself, you need to think about who's going to do that at your stores. Do you have a centralized function, or do you have someone sitting on site who's going to do it? If it's somebody that's on site pricing your units, is that the same person that is sweeping the units and doing overlocks? Should you really be paying the same hourly rate for the person that's pricing the units and the person that's doing overlocks? Probably not. So the opportunity here is to use some of the products in the industry that will both look at street rates and have great data on competitive properties in the market. When you're pricing units at the facility level, at the end of the day, what you care about is your own in-store leasing data, but you also care about where the competitors pricing those units, because that's who your potential tenants are going to look at. So some of the vendors, I think the best-in-class vendors in this market are Veritech, StorageTech, and ProRise. And it's not just about the street rate pricing, so pricing for vacant, unoccupied units. It's also about ECRI. So whether you are doing it manually or using some third-party product or some technology, you should be analyzing your existing tenants and looking at them as additional revenue opportunities. That's even great. A lot of people spend time thinking about how to price their inventory that's vacant. You'll make way more money nailing changing the rates on the folks that are in place. That's where all your revenue is. So this is an opportunity here that it's a monthly activity. You should look at how long your tenants have been in place every month and assess whether or not you should issue an increase. And these same vendors have tools that you can use to perform those functions. Insurance. You can create some pretty significant leverage with the right insurance provider or tenant protection provider. You're selling a $12 to $25 plan when you're leasing anywhere from $50 to $150 units in certain markets. That's a pretty meaningful percentage of revenue that you can sell there. So one, I'm making the assumption that you are selling insurance, because you absolutely should in this industry. When you make that choice for a vendor, you should be definitely bidding them against each other and trying to see what percentage of the premium you can keep yourself. And by the way, there are big ranges there. You should try to keep more than 50%. I think most single one-off facilities can. But what I would ask about on top of that is many of these providers have integrated automation that will both auto-enroll tenants or at least automatically check if they have provided a bogus private insurance policy. I mean, I know Safe Lease is one of the good ones. They do a very good job. We use them not solely, but across many of our assets, and we have a 90+% capture rate because they are constantly following up with tenants and throwing them on insurance if they don't have adequate private insurance policies. So if you think about where's the tech leverage there, it's if you have an automated function that is reaching out to tenants and auto enrolling them and checking their policies, That's hours and hours of time and thousands of dollars of revenue per month. That's a KPI you should track, and one that that is scalable through the right insurance vendor. Finally, additional products, whether it's Noki or Storage Defender or Smart Locks. These are both products that, and by the way, they're not all technology. I do want to put things like extended access. I mean, your FMS is technology, and you can separate out leasing extended access to folks like commercial contractors, but people will pay for things like smart locks, and it will save you time on walkthroughs. Again, that is tech leverage. It's taking a workflow, which is in the case of a Noki smart lock, that's how many times do you have to send somebody to site to go overlock a unit? Well, if you pay the upfront CapEx to put smart locks in your units that are hardwired, you don't need as many site visits. Or if you have staff on site, that person can focus on higher value stuff like pricing units or following up with leads. That is how I would think about technology and getting leverage through technology. Okay, moving to the cost categories. So we talked about revenue. This visual here, to me, these are the workflows, the core workflows that go into running a facility. It's customer service, that's answering phones and interacting with clients. There are a ton of choices and trade-offs you can make there. It's marketing. What sort of paid marketing strategies do you have? What sort of free marketing and SEO are you running? Delinquency management. There are tools for that, or you can develop your own team, like I talked about. Maintenance, that's keeping the facility clean, and security. I would say security and maintenance kind of could fit in their own category of facility ops, but I've broken them out here to kind of so that I can at least use this deck to call out specific vendors that you can. On the customer service front, technology in this case is not just about getting leverage and creating efficiencies, but there's some pretty meaningful data that you should be extracting from however you're running your call center. Storage is a commodity. When folks are calling to book storage units, they are often calling several facilities at once. So it's very important to pick the phone up. So your answer rate is important. You need real-time data. And you also need to understand who at your facility or on your third-party call center team, who are the folks that are actually effective at closing clients. This is technology that exists. There are plenty of third-party products and storage-specific products that can give you good data. One of them, a big one in the industry that Storable now owns is Call Potential. They have a lot of functionality here. They have a great knowledge base that will pull up facility-level information for your agents. It's not just about having a phone on site and letting somebody answer it. It's thinking about what they see. It's tracking KPIs and laying out, some real scripts for people to do a good job. But in the case that you are going to automate something, I want to call out Swivel. We've had some interaction with Swivel, but chatbots can peel off some percentage of the call volume that comes through your facility, which reduces labor hours and increases conversion. Like if you're talking about pickup time, the chatbot's going to answer really fast, and it might not get you it might not be able to answer everything, but if it can take 15% of your calls, then that one line item in your cost base is it's been reduced by 15%. That matters. On the marketing front, there are marketing specific or self-storage specific agencies that you can use here. I have not used them, but Adverank, a couple of people have told me that they do a pretty good job. I just want people to think about marketing as an investment. It's not, though your expense is going to run through below the revenue line items, spending money to acquire new tenants is an investment activity. And so you want an expert looking at your marketing budget, just like you would want somebody who knows finance and real estate, making investments if you're going to invest in real estate. I mean, that is it's not just a commodity. You need people and technology to understand click-through rates, to understand what people are bidding on, and to manage the budget effectively. On the maintenance front, there are general vendors in the industry that I know many use. MaintainX is one that is pretty common. Notify is one that we've used that is great. So this is using some sort of vendor or some sort of technology to create checklist items and run a tight program when it comes to overlocking and ticketing the maintenance items that are needed at a facility. So whether you have one facility or many, you want to be able to document if a latch is broken. You want to be able to document if a gutter is leaking or a roof is leaking or if a door is jammed. Making that note in the FMS is not an effective way to create a time-bound task, to triage priorities, and to get your staff to follow up. So there are specific technologies that allow you to do that. Notify is the one that I want to call out here. On the security front, I'm just going to assume it's table stakes here to have some sort of remote access or like a gate and a keypad. I want to call out SpiderDoor, PDK, Open Alliance, OpenTech, PTI, and KISS are some of the technologies that I have seen most frequently. But we still have many clients coming onto our platform who are not willing to make the $5,000 to $10,000 investment to get a gate at the facility. And all that does is create thousands and thousands of dollars of site visits and additional labor. That is the opposite of innovating through technology. I would make sure you have a vendor that allows you to, one, control access at the individual tenant level, which then on top of that allows you to get visibility into who's there. When problems arise, you can very quickly figure out who the problem tenants are. It's not just a cost savings exercise, it's a security exercise. And then finally, delinquency management. There's so much you could do here, whether it's dedicated teams. Like I think this is probably where most folks will continue to own the service in-house. Now, we manage hundreds of facilities, and we have found we currently use AI Lean. We're looking at late to lean as well. These are platforms that will, one, make sure you adhere to the state and local laws, and even sometimes backstop you on the insurance front. But two, they will actually automate the follow-up with tenants, which can help get people back outside of the accounts receivable and back online. And if they aren't, these vendors will actually get them out at the quickest possible timeline. And that's what you want out of your delinquency management team or technology, is just running the tightest and most efficient legal process. I know I'm short on time there. So, whether it's us or someone else, make sure that you sign up for, if you're going to go with the third-party option, ask them about how they think about each of these workflows. We've built some of our own tools. RevMan is a proprietary price scraping tool that we use. StoreBill is a proprietary software that reaches out to tenants and throws them back on autopay to cut down on the manual labor that goes into delinquency and accounts receivable. But if you're going to use a third-party manager, the reason you do so is, one, that they're experts, and two, that they're going to reduce your expense ratios. So these are some of the questions you should ask them. Let me stop there. And Iris, see if you have. I had 20 minutes there, right?
You are spot on. Thank you so much. You packed a lot of information into 20 minutes, so we really appreciate that. And I love the new RevMan product. We just saw the press release come through yesterday. It was in our newsletter, and I'm really excited about seeing that.
Yeah, we got a video coming out. We've got our own internal operations folks using it. We found many of the revenue management providers out there are just like, they can be expensive. We have to think about things at scale. a $10,000 per month facility that's generating $10,000 a month in revenue can't just layer on every little $150 a month software vendor that's out there. So we're trying to look around and say, what can we build to eliminate that cost? We spend the upfront cost to build it, but once you've built a software like this, the ongoing maintenance costs are, obviously the 150 is a profit center for the vendors providing that. So we're trying to look at the individual workflows and build what we can do to take it out of the expense ratio.
Well, that's fantastic and a great service to our industry. So thank you so much, Peter, and thank you for being here today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And just like everyone else, we're going to make sure our audience has access to your information. So if they have any more questions or anything they didn't think of today but want to ask later, they'll be able to reach out to you.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.